On this fundamental issue, I will not yield, and Planned Parenthood will not yield.
All the odds are against us. Faithfulness is the word.
My religion compels me, and I love it for it, to be against discrimination of any kind in our country.
Our rights come from nature and God, not from government.
All God asks of you is faithfulness, faithfulness, faithfulness.
Fighting for the family, standing for the church, laboring to return to a moral and biblically based culture.
This is the American Family Association at AFA Today.
Well, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It's AFA Today on AFR Talk. It's Kevin McCullough coming to you from New York. Evidently, if you are able to string two sentences together and walk upright, you're doing better than most feminists in the nation this morning, today, whatever today is, because they are just having conniptions, absolute conniptions. Kevin McCullough is my name, 888-589-8840. Yes, the conniption effect was on all over the place today because of yesterday's Supreme Court decision in the Hobby Lobby case. And friends, first of all, I don't think this is something that people that are seeking office this fall have to make as a big issue. I think that what we're going to need to do strategically is set the record straight when the other side goes there. But I don't want to have discussions going into the election, about virtual rape and other weird stuff that got us off track in the last go-round. Okay? We keep the focus on the economy, on the scandals, on the lying, on the impeachment. We keep the focus this fall, what we can do this fall, on the malignant behavior of the government towards the people. And if the left brings up the stuff like Hobby Lobby, we answer it. If they try to misstate the record, we correct them, and then we go right back. Because what they want to do is they want to have another Sandra Fluck election where we're all sitting around talking about stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the average person. Sandra Fluck testifying before Congress was irrelevant. Nobody cared if this Georgetown professional got her birth control for free or not. It didn't have anything to do, and yet people got suckered into that discussion. But now, the day after the Supreme Court case, we do need to set the record straight because, friends, there is a whole bushelful of lying that's going on, and it's starting with what looks like to be the front runner for the election in this coming presidential race, Hillary Clinton, on the trail yesterday in Colorado Springs, answering questions at a Facebook forum. Take a listen when she's asked about Hobby Lobby.
I disagree with the reasoning as well as the conclusion. Just think about this for a minute. It's the first time that our court has said that a closely held corporation has the rights of a person when it comes to religious freedom, which means that the corporation, and closely held are often family-based, not exclusively, but usually, that the corporation's employers can impose their religious beliefs on their employees.
Wrong, and we're going to call it as it is. We're going to stop it where she lies. We're going to point it out, and we're going to say, that's not accurate, Mrs. Clinton. Yesterday's Hobby Lobby case, you're only about the 15th millionth pundit on the left to say this, doesn't make it true. The Hobby Lobby case did not empower employers to in any way, shape, fashion, or form impose their religious beliefs on any employees. None. Big, fat, lying nothing out of that one, Mrs. Clinton. No. That's not true. And on this broadcast, you will not get away with saying it unchallenged. Hobby Lobby's win did not impact whether or not employers, that had nothing to do with employers imposing their religious views on their employees. Falsehood number one. Back to the tape. We continue.
And of course, denying women the right to contraception as part of their health care plan is exactly that.
Oh, hold on just a second there, Mrs. Clinton. Hold on there. The Supreme Court didn't deny any women right to contraception. Hold on, Mrs. Clinton, before you get too riled up here and all blown out of proportion. The Supreme Court didn't say to one woman yesterday, you will not get your contraception. The Supreme Court didn't say it. Not to a granny, not to a mama, not to a little sister, not to anybody. No females were denied contraception yesterday. And to say so, Mrs. Clinton, is fabrication falsehood number 2.
I find it deeply disturbing that we are going in that direction. And you know, part of the reason I was so adamant about including women and girls in our foreign policy, not as a luxury, but as a central issue, is because they're often the canaries in the mine.
Oh. She often included women and girls in the policies of the State Department. Often had to include the women and the girls in because they were the canaries in the mine. I'm sorry, it was just funny. It has nothing to do with the Supreme Court case, but she thinks it does. But do you think there was any foreign policy that really focused on, I don't know, the role of women and little girls? You're talking about economies. You're talking about greater cooperation between countries. You're talking about what this country does in relationship to this country. You're not at the UN, Mrs. Clinton. You weren't at the UN. You weren't fighting for women's equality in places like, Iraq. You weren't fighting for women's equality in places like, Afghanistan. Iran. In fact, when Iran held their elections, Mrs. Clinton, and that one woman who was wearing blue jeans and a T-shirt got shot on international television, even Mr. Obama came out and said something about how that really shook him up, and he finally decided he had to stand with freedom 10 days after the people were asking for it. I don't remember you saying anything about women and children, but it's good that you worked it in because, you're on a campaign stop, so you got to make sure you somehow relate Hobby Lobby to why you should be president of the United States.
You watch women and girls being deprived of their rights. Some of them never have them. Some of them lose them. And among those rights is control over their bodies, control over their own health care, control over the size of their families. And it is a disturbing trend that you see in a lot of societies that are very unstable, anti-democratic, and frankly, prone to extremism, where women and women's bodies are used as the defining and unifying issue to bring together people, men, to get them to, behave in ways that are disadvantageous to women, but which prop up them because of their religion, their sect, their tribe, whatever. So to introduce this element into our society, look, we're always going to argue about...
Okay, hold on. I got to stop before she goes any further because she was talking like the Hobby Lobby case was all about men. And that was something that somebody said yesterday. They said that the Supreme Court had, all these men had decided this, right? And all the women on the court had dissented. Not because they were all liberals, but because they were all women. That's what somebody was trying to say. Mrs. Clinton, did you know that the entire legal team of Hobby Lobby was represented by women in the Supreme Court yesterday? I'm just wondering, Mrs. Clinton, did you know that they were? Did you know that women comprise more of the pro-life movement than men? Did you know that Concerned Women for America has more members actively involved with what they do than now? What are you talking about? That men in extremist countries set up these things so that the power of the woman's body is manipulated and controlled by the men. Anyway, she continued. This was yesterday, immediately after the ruling in Colorado Springs at a junket that she was at. pushing her book, but they only sold 3 copies, so she just turned it into a campaign stop. And this next series of statements is really kind of the meat of what she has to say. Take a listen.
Abortion, it's a hard choice.
And
it's controversial. And that's why I'm pro-choice, because I want people to be able to make their own choices. And
she wants people to make their own choices, except who? All the women that are in the womb prior to their being born. They don't get a choice. It's always funny to hear people say, I'm pro-choice, but I believe children should be executed summarily, purely upon the judgment of the adult. The child has no say. There will be no choice for the child. No, we can't have, no, I believe in women's choices to kill their children, said Mrs. Clinton. That's what I believe in. I digress.
And it is... It's very troubling that a sales clerk at Hobby Lobby who needs contraception, which is pretty expensive.
No, it's not.
Is not going to get that service through her employer's health care plan because her employer doesn't think she should be using contraception.
We got to call foul on that one. Hold on. Hobby Lobby's still going to offer 16 varieties of birth control. The only 4 that they're denying are the abortifacients, the ones that create abortions. There's no one at Hobby Lobby going, okay, I'm going to tell you what kind of birth control. You can still go get that birth control somewhere else. Where did we come up with this weird idea that birth control from our employer is like a constitutional right or something? And friends, this is the entire meme of how the left is responding. They're just saying it over and over and over again. She started the segment with it. She said, it's the first time ever that employers are able to subject their religious views upon their employees. But that's not what they're doing. Nobody's doing that. This is really concerning, friend. I want you to think about this. She's saying that if I'm not forced to violate my own conscience, then I'm then being intolerant of her choice. Please tell me, America, please tell me that we are not going to be so stupid as to give in to that logic. That the voting public is not going to buy this irrational, unexplainable, undefensible position of rationale. This is what the left is actually after. If you do not tolerate anything that they do, even in your own mind, in your own world, in your own belief system, then you are in some way oppressing them. How utterly foolish, insane, illogical, maniacal, filled with lunacy. And, the news people are just going to report it like it's just whatever. Well, Mrs. Clinton said that Hobby Lobby hates, women, and they're trying to keep them from getting their birth control. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. And that's why on this broadcast, we obliterate confusion, we amplify truth. Why? So that we can pursue clarity. Because, friends, clarity is what we need. The left is losing its mind over Hobby Lobby from yesterday. What is your response? 888-589-8840. Kevin McCullough, your humble correspondent. Glad to be with you here on AFA Today and AFR Talk. And, of course, my email address, kmcradio@gmail.com. Always interested in reading what you have to say if you can't get by a phone during showtime. kmcradio@gmail.com. kmcradio@gmail.com. 888-589-8840. More of the maniacal response from the left when we continue here on AFA Today.